Hey everybody, this is Alex from Corso Systems. Today I'm going to talk about why I think digital transformation assessments are a waste of money and 3 things that you can do to see an ROI in about 2 weeks and after spending about $10,000. Now I picked 2 weeks because that is a common duration for agile software development sprints. That is a period of time where you can build a feature or a small product. You can release that at the end of the 2 weeks and have something your users can use. Once they're using it, they can start to provide feedback and you can start to iterate and improve on that. Now, Agile has been proven in the software industry for decades to help people build things efficiently, on schedule, and under budget. If this is a great way to deal with the software development process, and digital transformation is a lot of software development, why are manufacturing companies not using this approach to digital transformation and instead spending a lot of time dealing with McKinsey and Deloitte to do these digital transformation assessments, give you a top 10 hit list and a bunch of deliverables of things that you could or should implement and a path forward where you still at the end have to go do the implementation of things, find vendors, and go through all of the work of doing that. Why are companies not taking advantage of this already and just doing something upfront to go through the learning experience of implementing something related to digital transformation? I think people spend a lot of money, 50, 60, 100, $500,000 assessments, depending on the size of your company. Why are people spending money on these rather than doing digital transformation? I think, honestly, the reason is that they're scared. Just like operators on the plant floor who are afraid of automation and robotics stealing their jobs, executives in management are afraid digital transformation is going to expose inefficiencies of their business, the ways that they have failed the company in optimizing and innovating how they do business, and they're worried they're going to be replaced if digital transformation comes in and does their job better than they can. And this ties into the main reason a lot of digital transformation projects fail, and that is a lack of culture shift alongside the digital transformation itself. If you're trying to digitally transform your company and you're not changing the culture, you're simply doing business in the same way you are today without changing how you're doing business, and you're going to get the same results because the people are going to revert back to the same processes and procedures and technologies they do today. We see this all the time. If somebody comes in and they have their digital transformation report ready to go and they are choosing vendors and they don't have buy-in from their staff and they haven't done the culture shift, you'll see where the production schedule becomes the backbone of a digital transformation. And the production schedulers don't want to use the new technology because maybe they weren't consulted properly or their ideas weren't heard as part of this process. We see this time and again. That's where digital transformation is also a lot of work on the leadership side. The leaders of the company need to buy into this. They need to get the people doing the work and working at these companies to buy into it from the top floor to the shop floor. Even the operators need to be involved. Now I'm going to bash the McKinseys and the Deloittes over plenty of videos, I'm sure, because I don't agree with their approach. How would I do it differently? How would I put my money where my mouth is? So my thought is going through learning anything. You could go through and read all the textbooks in the world. You could go get a degree in something. You can get a doctorate in something and understand the theory behind it. And like Mike Tyson said, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. And I'm all about going and getting punched in the mouth right away. Let's go do something. Go through the process. Let's start with something small. Let's fail fast. Let's understand what went wrong. Let's grow and let's do it again and do it better the next time. That's how I've approached everything with Corso Systems. That's how I approach working with successful digital transformation projects. And that's what I'm here today to share with you. Now, you're going to learn a lot doing a project, whether you do the project first or whether you do the project after you've gone through 6 months or a year of working with a consultant to get this deliverable of this digital transformation assessment in your hands. So my thought is don't spend that money up front. Do something small. There's plenty of information about digital transformation initiatives you can do really quickly and easily and start that learning process and get a huge start on the culture shift because you're getting buy-in from everybody along the way and building something small that gives them a little bit of an improvement on their day-to-day life without having to fully upend how they do business. And a year from now, after you've fully implemented a lot of these things, your company will look a lot different than it does today. Your processes and procedures will look very different. But if you're trying to do that all at once, it's going to be a lot harder. So the 3 things, and you can pick any one of these depending on your company, and there's probably more out there. We're just picking 3. The 3 things you can implement in about 2 weeks with some upfront work before you start working with somebody or you start the actual implementation, and probably spending about $10,000 in some labor and software licensing. The 3 things that you can implement for a 10-day, 10K ROI are OEE, production scheduling, and production dashboards. Now, I'm not saying we're doing OEE for an entire enterprise across hundreds of production lines across multiple facilities. Let's start with a piece of equipment or one production line with a handful of pieces of equipment. Let's understand the process flow. Let's understand when machines can be starved or blocked, or when there's maintenance issues. And also the upfront work for OEE is understanding your downtime reasons. In addition to downtime reasons, you also want to understand your design throughput for your line and your equipment. If you have a good quality system, we can implement that. If not, we can leave that alone for now and save that for another phase. That's not going to give you a huge impact to your ability to see an ROI on an OEE system. So upfront, do some work to understand your downtime reasons, understand your production line makeup, and understand your process flow, and work with a vendor or do internal work to implement OEE in something like Ignition. And you're basically tracking downtime and throughput at this point. If you have really good downtime reasons that are detailed, awesome. You're going to see an ROI even quicker. If it's only a reason is that it's stopped or it's running, and we need to implement more reasons as we go, that will still at least give you the understanding of when the machine is down and when it's running. And the way you get an ROI is you start to reduce downtime. Even if you reduce downtime by 30 seconds or a minute, you will start to see an improvement on your bottom line because you're producing more product without spending any additional money on hardware, staff, or anything. You're just simply making your machine work more efficiently. The next tool, and this can come right after OEE very easily too, is production scheduling. Now, where you see the ROI on this is if you are not missing orders because you are making them to the schedule and you're finding inefficiencies where the schedule slips, either due to operator error, supply chain issues, or whatnot. Or you can start to see where inefficiencies in your process lie. For example, our case study on Blommer chocolate. If they're going to go from making milk chocolate to dark chocolate on the production line, they have to do an allergen flush. If your production scheduler isn't thinking about this, you could be running milk and then dark and milk and dark and milk and dark all day long, having to add an allergen flush each time. If you understand your production schedule and you have tools to properly implement that and track how that's being run on the plant floor, you could run milk chocolate for an entire shift, do one allergen flush between shifts, and run dark chocolate for the second shift. And that will immediately give you an ROI by allowing you to produce more on your existing equipment. And all we're doing there is we're replacing some paper production schedules or an Excel schedule with something that's integrated with your SCADA system so the operators can see the real-time schedule on the plant floor. Finally, you could probably do this with the data and information you have now, if you have any automation at all, is production dashboards. And tying these into the list after OEE and production scheduling gives you even more opportunity for ROI. Part of the power of production dashboards is if you have multiple shifts, you can start to get the shifts to compete with one another. So maybe first shift has a really great day and they produce 120% of what they were scheduled to do that day. Shift 2 or shift 3 doesn't want to be bested by them, and they're going to hustle to try and either meet or exceed the score of shift 1. The way that this layers on top of production scheduling and OEE is if the operators who are running the equipment see efficiencies in the schedule that the production scheduler didn't see, they can run that up the chain. The production schedule can get updated and they can maybe run an additional batch through the line that day. Or if they're starting to see a lot of downtime on the line for various reasons, because you're tracking OEE because we implemented that first, they can find ways to either get material where it needs to go faster if your machines are being starved. They can work out if there's issues with machines being blocked for maybe there's a maintenance reason a machine's down, or there's various slowdowns in the machine based on how an operator's running it. The operators are really smart. They'll figure out how to maximize your production if you're giving them an incentive. And a really easy incentive is getting them to compete with one another using production dashboards. Now, I hope that explains why I think doing is better than assessing and then doing. As part of the doing, we are going to do an assessment and we're going to give you plans beyond this. However, we're not going to spend a year or $500,000 up front telling you what the final vision of your product could be. It's going to be as we're going along the way. We're going to basically go through the continuous improvement cycle with your digital transformation. We're going to implement something. We're going to test our hypotheses and see, did that give us the ROI that we wanted? Did that have an impact on the business? Did that innovate how you do business? If so, what can we do on top of that and what can we do next? If not, why? And how can we attack that problem differently to get you an ROI more quickly? And then once we have these tools, we can assemble things like Lego blocks to get OEE, to get production scheduling, to get production dashboards, to get work order integration, digital work order instructions, integrate customer service, integrate the ERP system, and we can start to build an enterprise level SCADA solution one brick at a time, rather than going through and reading all of the instructions from this digital transformation assessment and adjusting from there. The other piece I find is a problem doing these digital transformation assessments is if you have this report that you spent $500,000 on and 6 months of your life dealing with, and you have to show some sort of ROI on that, it's going to be really hard if what you learned about how you do business and how you need to shift your culture and what you need to do to become a digitally transformed company, if that contradicts that report, you have a sunk cost, and that is going to cause you a lot of headaches trying to go against this report. You may have to have McKinsey or Deloitte come back in and spend even more money to get the report updated to reflect what you learned, rather than just learning that by doing something small and implementing that and going through that iterative process up front. So avoid having a sunk cost and start doing something. Get a 10-day, 10K ROI project going. Let us know in the comments down below if there's anything you'd like us to cover in the future, or if you disagree with anything here, let's start a conversation and see where it takes us. Thanks for watching.